Picture a string of beads held in the hand. For hundreds of millions of people in the West, that image is instantly recognizable. It's the Catholic rosary. A loop string of 59 beads, a centerpiece, and a crucifix. It's an icon of a specific faith, a tool for a specific set of prayers, the Hail Marys, the Our Fathers, the Glory Bess, a symbol of Catholic identity and devotion. It feels uniquely Catholic, but what if I told you that this simple, tactile tool is one of the most universal pieces of spiritual technology ever invented by humankind? What if I told you that a Buddhist monk deep in the Himalayas, a Muslim Sufi mystic chanting in Istanbul, a Hindu sadhu meditating by the Ganges, and that Catholic nun in Rome are all at this very moment using a nearly identical tool for the exact same fundamental purpose? This is the secret, shared history of the prayer bead. It's a story of a brilliant idea that seems to have either crisscrossed continents and cultures or been invented independently, again and again, by people seeking the same connection to the divine. It raises a fascinating question. Are we all connected by or shared spiritual tools, revealing a common human need? Or is this just the obvious, logical solution to a universal human problem? Today, we are tracing the threads of a global technology, from the ancient plains of India to the monasteries of medieval Europe, to uncover the hidden, interconnected history of the prayer bead. Before we trace its history, we must first reframe what we're looking at. A string of prayer beads, whether it's called a mala, a tasbih, or a rosary, is not primarily jewelry. It is a tool. It is a piece of spiritual technology, elegantly designed to solve a fundamental problem of the human mind. Think of it as a mental abacus or a sacred fidget spinner. The human mind, as anyone who has ever tried to pray or meditate for more than 30 seconds knows, is a restless creature. It's a monkey mind, constantly jumping from thought to thought, distracted by an itch on your nose, a memory of yesterday's lunch, a worrying about tomorrow's meeting. This distraction is a fundamental human challenge. Now imagine your religious practice involves repetition, repeating a sacred name, a mantra, a short prayer, 10, 50, 100, even thousands of times. This is a core practice in many spiritual traditions, but it presents a specific technical problem. How do you keep track? You can't easily focus on the deep, mystical meaning of Hail Mary, full of grace, if the front of your brain is simultaneously busy counting 7, 8, 9. The act of counting itself becomes the primary distraction, pulling you out of the meditative or prayerful state you're trying to achieve. The prayer bead is the ingenious, low-tech solution to this high-tech mental problem. It offloads the mechanical act of counting from your working memory to your fingers. The simple, repetitive, tactile motion of rolling a bead between your thumb and forefinger anchors your body in the present moment. This physical anchoring frees the mind to focus entirely on the content and intention of the prayer or mantra. It is a tool for achieving a flow state, for uniting the physical and the spiritual into a single, focused act. It transforms a potentially distracting repetition into a rhythmic, embodied meditation. And the earliest, clearest archaeological and textual evidence for this brilliant technology comes from ancient India. Our journey begins in the Indian subcontinent, possibly as early as the 8th century BCE, but certainly well established by the 3rd century BCE with the rise of Hinduism and Buddhism. Here we find the japa mala. The Sanskrit word japa means to mutter or to repeat, and mala simply means garland or string of beads. The mala is a masterpiece of spiritual design, steeped in symbolism. It almost always consists of 108 beads. This number is profoundly significant in Hindu, Buddhist, Jain, and Sikh traditions. There are said to be 108 Upanishads. There are 108 sacred sites in India. Traditional Buddhist temples often have 108 steps. Some traditions say it represents the 108 defilements or mental afflictions that the practitioner is overcoming through their practice. Others note its astronomical significance. Whatever the precise origin, 108 became the sacred number. At the end of the loop of 108 beads, there is a single, larger bead, or sometimes a differently shaped bead known as the guru bead or the stupa bead, often followed by a decorative tassel. The function is simple yet profound. A practitioner, a sadhaka, holds the mala, usually in their right hand. They begin reciting their chosen mantra, a sacred sound, word, or phrase, like the famous Om Mani Padme Hum. As they complete one recitation, they use their thumb to gently pull one bead toward them, then move to the next bead for the next repetition. When they reach the guru bead, they know they have completed one full cycle of 108 repetitions. They then pause. If they wish to continue, they do not cross over the guru bead. That would be symbolically like stepping over one's teacher. Instead, they turn the mala around and reverse direction, going back the way they came for another 108 repetitions. This tool was not just a counter, it was a pacer, a guide, a complete, self-contained meditative circuit. It provided structure, focus, and a tangible link between the physical act and the spiritual intention. As Buddhism was born from this same spiritual soil in India, it naturally adopted this powerful technology. Buddhist monks and missionaries traveling the Silk Road and the sea routes carried the mala with them. It spread across Asia to China, where it's called shiju, to Tibet Tranwa, to Korea Yomyu, and to Japan Juzu, adapting slightly in form but retaining its core function. The 108-bead mala became a near-universal tool of Buddhist practice. Now, let's follow a different thread westward into the heart of the Islamic world. If you visit a mosque or observe a Muslim at prayer, particularly in Sufi traditions or during personal devotion, you will often see them using a string of beads. This is known as a tasbih or mesbaha. The form is strikingly similar to the mala, a loop of beads, sometimes with dividers, often ending in a tassel. But the numbers are typically different. A full tasbih most often has 99 beads, or sometimes a smaller string of 33, which one would count 3 times to reach 99. The function is also remarkably similar. It is used for dhikr, which means remembrance of God. This is often performed after the 5 daily prayers, salat. The practitioner moves through the beads, reciting specific devotional phrases. Commonly, they use the 33-bead string to repeat Subhanallah, glory be to God 33 times. Alhamdulillah, praise be to God 33 times. Allahu Akbar, God is great 33 times. This adds up to 99 repetitions, corresponding to the 99 beautiful names of Allah found in the Quran, like Ar-Rahman, the Compassionate, Ar-Rahim, the Merciful, Al-Malik, the King. The 99-bead tasbih allows for reciting these names directly. So where did the tasbih come from? This is where the history gets fascinating and debated. Some devout Muslim traditions link the practice of using counting aids back to the Prophet Muhammad himself, citing accounts hadith where he reportedly approved of using date pits or pebbles to keep track of praises. However, most secular historians and many Islamic scholars agree that the string tasbih as a formal, common tool appeared in Islam several centuries later, likely around the 9th or 10th century CE. And its appearance seems to be a clear case of cultural borrowing. Where did it likely come from? All evidence points east to the exact place where prayer beads were already an ancient and ubiquitous tradition, India. As the early Islamic caliphates expanded their trade routes and cultural interactions deep into the Indian subcontinent, they almost certainly encountered the Hindu and Buddhist Japamala. Recognizing the practicality and profound usefulness of this spiritual technology, they likely adopted it, adapting the number of beads from 108 to 99 or 33 to fit their own theological framework, the 99 names of Allah. The tool was simply too good not to borrow. This brings us finally to the West and to the rosary. If you asked a devout Catholic grandmother where the rosary came from, she might tell you the beautiful, pious legend that solidified in the 15th century. that the Virgin Mary herself appeared to Saint Dominic, founder of the Dominican order, in the year 1214 and gave him the rosary, instructing him to use it as a powerful weapon against heresy. As a matter of faith and devotional tradition, this story is incredibly powerful. As a matter of strict historical fact, the origins are much older, more gradual, and likely influenced by the very tools we've already discussed. Like in other religions, the earliest Christian monks, the Desert Fathers in Egypt and Syria in the 3rd and 4th centuries, were obsessed with repetitive prayer. Following Paul's injunction to pray without ceasing, they sought ways to count thousands of repetitions of short prayers like the Kyrie eleison, Lord, have mercy. They didn't initially use beads. They would fill their pockets with pebbles and drop one after every prayer. Or, more commonly, they would tie a series of knots into a rope. This knotted prayer rope, known in the Eastern Orthodox tradition as a chakki or komboskini, is still used today and predates the beaded rosary. In the medieval West, the official prayer book of the Church was the Book of Psalms, containing 150 psalms. Monks would recite all 150 psalms regularly. But the vast majority of the laity, the common people, were illiterate and couldn't read Latin, so monks encouraged them to substitute the 150 psalms by praying the Our Father Pater Noster 150 times instead. To keep track, people began to use a simple, knotted string or a string of 150 beads. This became known as a Pater Noster string. It was, essentially, just a counter. So how did we get from a 150-bead Pater Noster counter to the complex 59-bead rosary focused on the Hail Mary? This is where the timeline gets crucial. The Pater Noster string seems to have developed indigenously in Europe. However, the popularity and the form of using beads on a string became widespread during and immediately after the Crusades, roughly 11th to 13th centuries. Is it a mere coincidence that European Christians were in deep, prolonged, violent, and intimate contact with the Islamic world, where the tasbih was already a well-established tradition at the exact same time that beaded prayer counters exploded in popularity back home? Many scholars argue no, it is highly likely that exposure to the Islamic tasbih influenced a form, design like the use of divider beads, and general adoption of beaded prayer counters in Christian Europe. Again, the tool's design was simply too efficient and spiritually useful to ignore. This basic beaded counter, the Pater Noster, was then given its final, complex form in the 15th century. A Carthusian monk named Dominic of Prussia is credited with combining the counting of prayers. By then, the Hail Mary, or Ave Maria, was becoming increasingly popular with a new devotional practice, meditating on 50, later 150. Then 15 specific mysteries or key events from the life of Jesus and Mary. This new, combined devotion, which blended tactile counting with mental visualization and meditation, was given the beautiful name Rosarium, Latin for rose garden. The modern rosary was born. It was an evolution of an ancient tool refined over centuries, potentially influenced by cross-cultural contact, and finally imbued with a new, complex, and profound theological meaning. So the prayer bead is a truly global human story. It is a piece of spiritual technology that appears in remarkably similar forms in Hinduism, Buddhism, Islam, Sikhism, Jainism, and Christianity. In every case, its fundamental function is the same: to liberate the mind from the mechanical burden of counting and to anchor the body to a single, sacred, repetitive purpose. It is a brilliant, simple tool designed to solve the universal human problem of a wandering mind during prayer or meditation. And this brings us to the great, unresolved debate. Is this a clear, linear story of cultural diffusion? Did this brilliant idea originate once, perhaps, in India, as the Dipamala, and then spread like spiritual wildfire along the Silk Road and trade routes, being adopted and adapted by Buddhism, then copied by Islam as the tasbih, and finally influencing the design and popularity of the Christian rosary after the Crusades? Or is this a story of convergent evolution? Is the idea of using beads, knots, or pebbles on a string to count? Just an obvious one. Is this a case of different people in different parts of the world facing the exact same cognitive challenge, a distracted mind during repetitive prayer, and independently inventing the exact same perfect low-tech tool to solve it? Is this a story about one single invention that traveled the world? Or is it a story about one single, universal human mind which, when faced with the problem of prayer and focus, keeps inventing the exact same perfect spiritual machine? Perhaps the truth lies somewhere in between. What do you think? Does the shared use of this tool suggest a hidden unity among world religions, or just a common human ingenuity? Let me know your thoughts respectfully in the comments below. If you found this deep dive into a hidden global technology fascinating, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content that uncovers the hidden threads that connect our world. Thanks for watching.